Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. It is Critter Quilt Day number 3 this week. So this week, every day is a focus, Tuesday through Friday, of the Critter Quilts. So I am super excited to show you quilt number 1 has the binding on, and I will be doing the label. I'm going to put a little border around this of fabric, and then this will be the label for the quilt. It was embroidered on my Baby Lock Solaris Vision, so yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'd be fun to have this as a label. Our ambassador Kathy has been working super hard to find an organization that will take the quilt and display it, and is interested in doing that, because it's a nice size quilt, and we're very close. There is an organization where we're pretty sure it's going to go to, but until they have it in their hands, I won't say it's a done deal, because you know how it goes. Something could fall through. So once it's a done deal, once the quilt has been delivered to them, then I will tell you where it went. And for those of you, the backstory, I had Norm the gnome up there, and all of a sudden one of our friends sent us a companion for Gnome, an animal block, and then another animal block came, and then another and another and another, and it just like snowballed, and all these animal blocks came. And so this was a project that was not on my agenda or not in my plan at all. And once all these beautiful animal blocks came, I decided I had to do something. I wanted to do something special with them. And so I thought, well, we'll make quilts that could go to an organization to display, where people could enjoy your work and then my layouts putting them together. So we'll be making 2 more, like I said, on these videos. And so I'm done with the animal block. Don't send. No more blocks. I have enough. Yeah, because I don't want them to not get used. And I'm now done. I have the one we're working on this week, and then I'll have one more after that. So I want to show you the binding on this. So let me get the other camera. So here is the stripe binding. It's a slanted, it's printed slanted stripe, which I think looks so good along the whole edge of it. There you see it. See, isn't that great? Look at that. And here are the blocks again. So this has just been, it just turned out so darn cute. Loving that lobster, loving him, loving them all. The beautiful swan, I did the crab and the butterfly. Oh, Nessie, which is I think one of the very few free patterns. Most of the critters are paid patterns. They're just a little more complex, but Nessie is free. They're all on my critter page. Look at the snail. Okay, so cute. I do want to show you here picking the thread color to top stitch that binding, because the thread is seen. So let's take a look at that. One of the interesting things about doing top stitch binding on a stripe, particularly, you know, a high contrast stripe, is I need to pick one or the other color. And so one of the interesting things is about how we view color, and it's kind of science, but lights will come towards you. So I'm going to put the light thread, and of course you don't see it on the white. It's a cream, but you know, it blends into the white, but you really see it on the navy. Now let's try the navy thread and see how visually that looks. Once again, it's the opposite, and the navy is going to really pop on that white and not be seen on the red. But which do you prefer? Does the navy seem to recede a little bit and the white or the cream sort of come at you a bit more? To me, the light does pop towards me more than the dark. And so I am going to go with the navy because I want it to sort of go more into the background of the quilt. On to Critter Quilt number 2. I showed you getting that layout in the video yesterday. This the start, how I got the start, but then it has to be sort of condensed and pulled in so that it's not just has all that open space. I need to have as little open space as possible because I want to make this quilt as small as it can, and I'm going to show you how I work through that process on the program. All the sizes are on here now, so what I want to do is just I want to see how wide it has to be, which means sort of, what I probably will just do is just put them side by side. So they've got the widest parts. I'm not really worried about the tall. I can make it tall. So I can see, do they get anywhere, you know, close? Put these all in here. And these guys. Okay, so I've got to get a little bit more precise over here, because some of these, like the hedgehog, is a little narrow. What's the widest? The widest is the bluebird. And see, I don't, okay, so then we've got, let me just put these, okay, so here's the widest point on this one. See, the widest point on this one is from the elephant to the bear. See how long he is? Remember, when you're watching me do this, that I have been designing patterns for 25 years, more than 25 years, and the whole time I have used graphics programs, primarily ones that work and look like this one. And so that's why I can do this pretty fast. I can do quilt math in my head. It's just, you know, it's just the life of a designer. And so if you are trying to do this and it seems difficult, it is in the beginning. It is difficult. It's not easy. You have to learn it. You have to be patient with yourself. Now, you know, I had a few of those little you know, critters that were sent, the little applique critters that I can put in here, but I'm not measuring those until I see what has to happen. All right, so at this point, whoops, at this point, they're kind of close to the size, and this size would be 66 by 65. So it is almost a square. It needs to be like, you know, an inch longer, which is no problem. I'd like to make it maybe just a little bit longer, meaning, you know, pulling these so that there's just a little bit more definition. Whoops, that guy stays down there. Let me just undo that. There we go. So you can see, like, I didn't mean to grab that. So, like, these guys will be up here. I can't make the unicorn split, so it would be really 3 horizontal rows with something, then some spacers in here. And that makes it 66 by 69, which I think will be workable. I can't really make it any more narrow. I could maybe skim an inch, 2 inches off. I could skim 2 inches off because the blue bunny has extra on the sides. So I can make the blue bunny take an inch off of each side. Oh, I can't take an inch. I don't know that there's enough there. I'd only be able to save like maybe an inch looking at them. So it's probably not worth trying to worry about an inch. More just give it a tiny bit more of a rectangle. There we go. So I think it'll work. Next will be to fill all of this part in, everything, so that it will, you know, touch and make things more interesting. Maybe these will be more like this, so that you don't have like all this stuff up here that's kind of random. And same down here, you know, maybe the goats will match up like this, and the pig will come in the bottom, and then there'll be a little bit of spacers between things like that. This stuff, the width, no spacer. It's got to be jam, jam, jam all the way across, or it gets too wide. All right, there you go. So you can see from there that I was able to manipulate things very quickly. If I'm drawing it on paper, I would have to be erasing or have some sort of film over top of a grid work, so I could easily make all those changes. I mean, I'm just moving and shifting and doing everything very quickly because it's in the software program. It just changes the whole the whole, you know, flow of the work, because it can be done so much faster. Then it also allowed me to do this next thing, because I noticed that I had the bear block up here, but I thought, you know what? He's pretty wide. He's a pretty big block. And what if I move him down, because there's some smaller blocks down here, and then move a block that's not as wide so that I can get it a little more narrow. It maybe saved me a little bit, but let me show you the process I did for that, because now I've got all the sashings and everything there that I know what I'm going to do. So I'm just thinking, what if I changed a little bit here, because this bear is wide, and if I put the bear down here in the corner, what I'm trying to do is make it a little less wide, because I could reduce a lot of things. So put the bear down here, and the pig would go here, which means I don't need this at all, I don't think. Can the pig be trimmed? Yeah, I can trim the pig down just a tiny bit so that it is at that point. The parrot, I just have to make this more narrow and move it over. Oops, move it over, move this guy over. Can I make it? Get rid of that. I'll get rid of that. So what I'm trying to do is just find this whole side in some. Okay, so if I have to make the pig just a little bit more narrow, and then I can get rid of that edge there, and these guys will need a spacer, a little skinny spacer in here. A lot of little skinny spacers make it all work, because I can make this, of course, more narrow. This doesn't have to be as wide. And see, I'm just trying to get everything, just get it all in line. Okay, so that's all in line right there. And now I've got the bear in the corner, and he's a little further out, but I have room over on this left. See, this does not need to be that big, so I can move him over, move him over, move him over. Let's see. Oops, why do I have so many of those? Okay, what I'm trying to do is get here. Can the bear be trimmed any? No, not really. So I still need to get rid of maybe all of that. That these guys will just go all the way across. No, it had to be a little one. A little one, there we go. Looks like that's what I'm talking about. Okay, and here. So boom, boom, boom. We have now, I have to do a little bit of adjustment up there, but I've now made it just a little bit narrower. And took 2 inches off, about 1.5 inches. So got it into a 64, it's now 64 by 66 up here, basically, it was 64 and a half, I think. So that is good. That is good. I want to make, I don't want to make it so huge. I mean, this is huge, probably, but it is what it is now. Okay, I think that's it. Here is the worksheet for myself. So the diagram with all the sashings, and I just find it a lot faster to to click each of the rectangles for sashing, and then as I click it, I can look up on the left at the size and handwrite it on the sheet. It's actually faster for me. So this is how I do it for myself. And often if I'm writing a pattern, it would be this step and then other validations to get everything in there. Because I can't copy and paste those numbers on the left that are the size. I have to hand write them or hand type them anyways. And so this is my worksheet, and it is not going to be a pattern, because you would have to buy 20 patterns to make this. Each of these animal blocks is a different purchased pattern. So just enjoy it for what it is. And all the blocks are at the critter page at I Love to Make Quilts. So I have decided I am going to focus on green. I think that would be fantastic. And so I have a bin of green, and probably more of the bright light, greens tossed in, some of the others. Nothing super traditional. It's not really a traditional quilt, but I don't have a lot of traditional fabrics right now in green, but something like this, look, with the frogs, where you can see it. I'm trying here. You can see the frogs. See the frogs? Isn't that darling? That's a Heather Ross print. Here's one with some horses. See? Isn't that great? So what I'm going to do is, it's, you know, it'll take a while to work on all of that. And I'll do some film clips and show them next week as I work through this. But I want to do now is just take a little time to put some pieces of fabric up there. I'll just fold them up there as an audition, and so we can see them in place. Because the other thing I want to do is look in the parts center here, in the parts center for blocks, so that I can see, whoops, so I can go through here and get one of these that has like a lot of miscellaneous colors, and find maybe some small, because they have to be small. They can only be like 2-inch or 3-inch most. I did already find this one block that I have. I already have that one. But there's not there's not big spaces for the most part, so they just have to be the half square triangles and things. Okay, let me just put some fabrics up there so we can see what it looks like. So what I did was just take some pieces of the fabric and do them in strips, or do them like this. Take the whole piece behind the block so that I can get some of the color showing. Here I've got the green that's a little bit wider. I can use that horse there that's a little bit wider, so I actually can get the horses in it. And they're not 100% to scale. They're probably showing a lot more green than will be there in most of the spots. But I just wanted to get a feel for it and to sort of get my head wrapped around it. Like the polka dots, there's a lot of that, so I can repeat it. I can put it here. I can put it up there. There's a couple of blocks I had pulled. I could do the polka dot like somewhere over here, rather, so, or maybe up there, so I can repeat it. The same with a couple of the others, like maybe a couple of the darker ones with the frogs. Put the frogs in like 3 spots. 3, 5, 7, odd numbers are good. But there, that way I've got the greens going around, and then what I'm going to do is maybe cut a few of those before tomorrow's video, and then tomorrow we'll go through and find some other parts in the parts center. So we'll go into the parts center up here, and I think the one of these, this one, I forget which one, has see the monitor there? You can see, that's where I can see what's going on. But we'll go in the parts center and see what's happening. With blocks. I know there's a bunch of half square triangles, so I can use. The other thing I will do on this is a few of these strips are very long, and I will probably break them up either with some half square triangles or just squares, and then rather than just having one long piece of fabric, I'll make it a little bit more interesting. But I don't need to sort of write that out on the pattern for myself. I just need to know what I'm going for, what the final length is. So that's what I'll do. And then this will have to be up there next week, because there's just no way I can take it down now. So we'll just have to work around on the other quilt-alongs for what's happening, because it'll probably be up here all next week while I try to get it together. But it's not really that many sashings. So this will go together pretty well. And after we pick some blocks tomorrow, that'll kind of give it that variety and fill it in. But there's really a lot of small things in this particular setting, a lot of blocks. And I want to remind you that there's not very many of the spooky boxes left, so be sure that you get yours if you want it. My goal is this guy. This is what I have to do. I have to cut this today. I keep saying that today is the day, and cut it. And I am using this maple. I'm going to use this guy, and then after that, whoops, I'm going to use this for the pumpkin, and then after that I will be making what's in the spooky box. But I got to make this one first for the door. I have to. And I'm going to talk about planning, our planners, or journaling that we've done. I'll talk about that tomorrow, on Friday. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.